What's going on, Pap fam, and welcome back to another edition here of the NE Patriots Talk channel. And today is the final day where the media is open for OTAs. And as you know, Andy, OTAs are almost concluding, and as we head directly straight for mandatory minicamp, there is so much to be excited for. So, how are we doing today, Andy?
We're doing really well, Dow, and I can tell you exactly why. Like I just said into our lead up, Drake May was on fire today, going 14-16, finding possibly he found Ramondre Stevenson, Efton Chisholm, Leaf Stephon Diggs, and Trevion Henderson. I don't know if you saw that clip. He held the ball behind his back like this.
Yeah, I saw.
That was and that was a rookie making that catch. That was really amazing. And I know, like we keep saying on our sectionals or sectional live streams,
Mm-hmm.
one of the first things Austin says is I'm excited. And I can officially say, I've been, saying that in as many words since the draft, but I'm excited now too. I mean, this is going to be, again, it's only June. We're going to have to wait through mandatory minicamp, eventually training camp, the preseason. But I'm loving Drake May, Efton Chisholm. You've been seeing that name all over sports media, even positive coverage in local media. And as you know, they haven't been nearly as positive as we've been about the Pats thus far. The undrafted rookie free agent wide receiver out of Eastern Washington has been comped to Cooper Kupp, broke Cooper Kupp's records that many thought would stand for years. Rolls into New England as a UDFA, as we've mentioned previously, desperately wanted by the Denver Broncos, but is now a Patriot. And I agree with the host of the Patriots channel on Chat Sports. It's early, but if this kid does not make the 53-man roster, I am going to blow a cow. I mean, that man, if he keeps showing off out on the field there, he's got to be a roster lock. I mean, second coming of Julian Edelman, he's a kid, but it's like we know how rah some of this fan base has gotten, still is about Joe Milton. They're pissed he got traded. But this is a different position. This is a wide receiver on the New England Patriots. He wasn't drafted. He was signed as a UDFA, and he is looking like the real deal.
Yeah, I can see that. And as you come in, gentlemen and ladies, please make sure to like and subscribe to this channel. It's completely free, help supports the channel. And as you come into the show, as you can see in the top message that is pinned in the chat, please bring in your questions and comments throughout the entire show. And as we read your comments, it allows me and Andy to at least discuss some of the topics that we will potentially cover in today's live stream regarding OTAs. Today is the final day, as I alluded to, that the media is open for OTAs, and the last day for OTAs will be June 5th. But the main headline for today's OTAs is that Stephon Diggs has officially made his appearance for OTAs. What are your thoughts on that, Andy?
I am excited to see Stephon Diggs finally take a form of the football field as a Patriot. With all the negativity about this boating incident. And like you said, I used to like him too. Scott Zolak, for shame, out there saying, I think Stephon Diggs is going to get cut. You're not. Look, Scott, you're a guy who has 30 plus years of experience with this team. Um, you know, you played as a backup quarterback. You played with us for, I believe it was 4 years. You don't come out there on what's has, been by people who think like us, a respected broadcast with you and Mark the Beetle Bertrand over there and say that you think this veteran wide receiver whom we signed for what was it 69 million and
Around
had
63 million.
63, okay, thank you, and had 6 straight 1,000-yard receiving seasons, was close to on the way to a 7th um before he went down with an ACL. You don't go out there and say, "Oh yeah, he's a cut candidate." I mean, that it's I don't wanna say it's not tasteless. It just don't go out there and sound stupid, Scott. I mean, really. So, and here was Stefon Diggs this morning taking the field, basically says, "How are you guys doing?" Says, "I'm happy to be here." Uh, Josh McDaniels is really psyched to see him. I've heard Greg is really psyched to see him on the field. Of course, the third time Pat's offensive coordinator. But yeah, Stefon Diggs, I can't wait to see more of him as the offseason rolls on.
As you alluded to the Scott Zolak comment, it was reported per Ian Rappaport that the Patriots have no plans to release or cut Stephon Diggs. So basically, whatever has been going on 98.5 or NBC Sports Boston, this is
It,
just lunacy. This is just basically clickbait. As I alluded to in my earlier short, I think that the Boston media nowadays, and we know we're not part of the Boston media, but I think that ever since the Stephon Diggs incident, I think that they make this incident like a big deal just to get clicks and just to get views and likes. And I find that to be disheartening as the entire fan base and as a community, because we're supposed to give out like good news and some, at least there has to be some, like, there's not supposed to be like any bias, but I felt like since Stephon Diggs is a big name around like the NFL, of course there's gonna be some big news around him. But the fact that you have to make these dumb reports or dumb comments about this, I just find that to be disheartening as in general. So thank you to Ian Rappaport to like clarify all this.
1,000 thanks to Ian Rappaport, and I saw that remark you made earlier. It just goes to show that how the lengths the media will go to still make our favorite football team look like a piece of crap. And they've done that. They've done that since Tom Brady left. And they did it when we drafted Mac Jones. They did it to a lesser extent, even though the bulk of them wanted Drake May. They did it to a lesser extent last year. And then we beat Cincinnati in that opener. Oh, geez, are the Pats good? And then it all went downhill from there. And Gerard Mayo was ultimately fired an hour and a half after the season closer versus Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, come on, it's Boston media. It is time to get positive about the Patriots. No offense to Tom Brady, he's the greatest football player of all time, and a man is not an island. This team was made by multiple men over those 20 years, including one Mike Vrabel, who is now our head coach. And you might have even seen that clip of him absolutely flying in Mark Warner's face in Super Bowl 36 and allowing for a pick six by Ty Law that put the Pats up 7-3. But yeah, I mean, We got Mike Vrabel is now our head coach. McDaniels is our offensive coordinator again. McDaniels is really, I believe, cut out to be an offensive coordinator. We have there are those people. Brady made McDaniels. McDaniels may do with Mac Jones, and Bill Belichick hamstrung him in 2021. I was thinking about that earlier today. But I'm sorry if I'm going off on a tangent here. But yeah, come on, Boston media.
No,
Stop it.
bring out that bring out that rant, because this needs to be heard, because Ray brings out a really good point, and he says having to start throwing thumbs down on these idiotic reports and unsubscribe from the nonsense. They'll continue to do it until it hurts them where it hurts, and that's their pockets. Yeah, you have to make sure that whoever you're listening to, they have to be at least credible and not like biased in a certain way. Like I see people in our Discord saying that they follow ESPN, and I have told and I have total respect for ESPN, especially our man Mike Reese, who covers the Patriots. Basically, the thing with the media nowadays is they just find ways to come up with these crazy stories and then bring out to the public, and then have the whole entire community say, oh, this and that, this and that. And this is a perfect example of how exposed the Boston media is, especially on 98.5. But let's continue on with the show, and thank goodness that the whole entire situation is over. Let's just focus on today's OTA. So the players who were absent today were Carlton Davis, Marcus Jones, Anthony Jennings, Travion Williams, Tyrese Robinson, and Kendrick Bourne. The one player that struck out to me the most, and I'm not surprised about this, is Carlton Davis. Obviously, we know that Carlton Davis is coming back from a season-ending jaw injury. So, unlike Stephon Diggs, Carlton Davis has these two players that we signed to like big deals all came off of season-ending injuries, and I think that it's really important to realize that some of these players need to rehab in a certain way. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, they 100% need to rehab, man. I was like you. I was surprised to see. Okay, Carlton Davis on the DNP list did not participate. Like, okay, that's. I wonder if there's anything. I don't think there's anything fishy going on there, as you just mentioned, that I'd forgotten about the jaw injury he had last season. But yeah, I don't think that that's reason for concern just yet. And why, similar to why we haven't seen Stephon Diggs on the field yet. He's been rehabbing a torn Achilles. That can often take the better part of a year to rehab that injury, and here he is out there running like the wind. He was clocked faster than Keyshawn Boutte on the practice field today. But back to the guy we were talking about in Carlton Davis. Let me just, if you wouldn't mind, I'm gonna pop on my phone for a sec. And
the injury history, because I know Carlton Davis, he had, before the jaw injury, I know he has suffered amount of injuries during his time in Tampa Bay. And
Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Bay?
Yeah, he played. Yeah, before he played for Detroit,
right.
He played for Tampa Bay.
You're right. He was drafted by Tampa Bay, played there until 2023. So he actually only spent 1 year with Detroit before coming here.
But if you want me to look up the injury history with Carlton Davis, he said that there's a chance of high risk of injury in 2025, which is why he didn't show up for OTA. So his injury history was a groin strain, grade 2, and he hurt his groin in week 15 victory over the Falcons and missed 2 games. Then in 2021, he had a leg quad strain, grade 1, and he missed 3 games, including the game against New England. And he's injured that quadriceps against the Patriots in New England, and he was placed on IR. Then in 2022, he had a hip pull, which caused him to miss week 7 and week 8. Then in 2023, he had the head cranial concussion, and he missed 1 game. and that was in week 16. And obviously, as we alluded to last season, he had a jaw injury. I think it was against the Buffalo Bills when he had the injury.
It was in December, actually.
Yeah.
So I just looked up his injury history, and this is a little bit of a red flag on Carlton Davis here. 33 injuries over 7 seasons. That's an average of almost 5 injuries a season. That's not exactly screaming durability. I mean, he is a cornerback. It's not the most physical position to play, but it's not the easiest to play either. I mean, you got to be running down the field all the time. These wide receivers you're chasing, some of them are super lithe. I mean, look at Jamar Chase, AJ Brown, Tyreek Hill. Those guys are antelope out on the field. They could run all day. But yeah, that is a red flag for Carlton Davis. 33 injuries over 7 seasons. That's it'll be worse. It'll be something to keep an eye on over his time here.
Yeah, we're gonna have to find out if he's gonna be present next week for a mandatory minicamp, and let's just hope and pray that none of these injuries. We know some of these injuries were major, including that jaw injury, but let's just hope that there's gonna be no minimal injuries that would keep them from being in the season-ending IR. Let's just hope and pray. But moving forward with the attendance, the only players that were available at practice but did not participate were Matt Collins and Austin Hooper. There were players that were limited, however, and they are Stephon Diggs, Jalen Polk, Marcus Epps, Kyle Duggar, Jared Wilson, Vidarian Lowe, Wilfred Penne, Michael Onwenu, and Jaquelin Roy. So this is your attendance, and including the injuries in Jelani Tavai and Wes Schweitzer. So that's your entire attendance. So let's talk about the injury that Jelani Tavai suffered. So it was reported that he went down. He suffered some sort of leg injury. According to Kobe in our Discord, he said that the injury was not that serious, but he went down for a bit. We know that the music was turned off, and we know that Jabril Peppers helped him carry off the field. So it was during the 11-on-11 work, and I think it was during one of those drills. So what were your thoughts on the left leg injury that Jelani Tavai suffered?
Yeah, I just read that article. I read that article about 5-6 minutes before we came on, and I read pretty much just the same thing you did. He was down on the field for a couple minutes. Had to be helped off by Jabril Peppers that couldn't walk on his 100% his own weight and was favoring that left leg. Any football player going down on any type of play with a leg injury is going to have to be monitored. I don't think there's any word out there as to what exactly it is. Just a left leg injury. So, but in fact, let me just look it up here. There we are. Yeah, suffers apparent leg injury during OTAs, 11-on-11s. At the time, the Patriots turned off the music to practice and players took a knee, knelt around Tavai. The looks on their faces showed they had concern for their teammate. He was taken off-site for further medical evaluation. So that's something to keep an eye on. I would not go as far, because we don't know what it is. I wouldn't go as far as saying be concerned just yet.
Yeah. And not to be alarmed, that I think that we definitely have enough depth at middle linebacker. So basically, not everything is going to be huge cost. Considering that, I know we were hard on Tavai, especially the comments that he made after the Chargers game, where he shamed on the fans, which I thought it was ridiculous out of him, because I know he was a liability in coverage, but I just felt a little annoyed about Tavai after those comments that he made after the Chargers game. But regardless, let's just hope he stays healthy, regardless of some of the crap that happened last year. But let's just move forward. So, starting with the quarterbacks, and as you alluded to, Andy, that Drake May had a better day regarding of those 3 sacks, which were we could care less about the sacks. At least that the two quarterbacks, Dobbs and May, had like stellar performances, 14 out of 16 and 11 out of 13. And some of these completions were really stellar, even though there were some lucky plays, but there was a lot of good accuracy. Like the one throw to Ramondre Stevenson down the left side, and then there was an off-platform May dropped it right into the back's fingertips. And then he also made some impressive completions to Kayshon Boutte in between 2 defenders on a corner route. And I have a video of Drake May throwing it to Travion Henderson, excuse me, as you alluded to Andy earlier. And I have that video if I could find. I have the video, so I can play it back, and then I'm gonna share this, and then we can see the play. So you see Drake May stepping back, makes that impressive catch by the back. That's no running back has ever done that, as far as I know. What are your thoughts on that play? I'm gonna play that again.
Yeah, no running back has ever done that. Would not surprise me. That is a wild catch in that clip right there. Let's just play it again there, Dow. May stepping back perfectly. And you see how Henderson juggles the ball, then almost subconsciously puts his hands behind his back, and manages to control it. That's a veteran stellar throw by Drake May. Veteran type ball control there by Travion Henderson. If you could just play that clip again, that was mind-boggling.
If there's ability, I can play it okay, so I can set it to 70 at playback, so I could do it in a slow-mo. So you have Drake May slowly stepping back.
May step back, toss. See, he catches it, and then it goes behind his back, and he follows it. That's... Let me tell you, that is that is the kind of confidence you need to have in a pass catcher.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the type of confidence we have not had in a pass catcher since one Julian Edelman. We obviously all remember that stellar catch he made among 3 defenders in Super Bowl 51, but there was no defender on this ball. But that's amazing concentration there by Travion Henderson. That's a testament to the coaching he got under at Ohio State. I believe it was under Ryan Day, who was not the most well-regarded coach, but
Ryan Day and Chip Kelly, yeah,
and Chip Kelly, local guy. Nonetheless, they did win the national championship again, so doff the cap to him. But yeah, that's Travion Henderson. That's that kid. That kid is special.
So for those who really wants to see the clip outside of this live stream, you can go check out on Twitter, excuse me, and then you can look up Patriots on CLNS Media, where you can see some of these clips from Taylor Kyles, and yeah, you can see some of these plays that, including this one, that was really impressive. Another play that. So if I could find any more plays, there's a play that you see some from Stefon Diggs. You could tell that Drake now that Stephon Diggs is back, you can see that the connection with Drake May and Stephon Diggs is slowly starting to grow. And when we look at this play, Andy, look look at how well this chemistry is working out. You see Drake May stepping back, makes that impressive throw, and then you see Stephon Diggs making that incredible route. What were your thoughts on this? I'm gonna slow it down so you can analyze this. So let's set it right here and then here.
All right, here goes Drake May. Step back, step back, step back, throw. That was a wheel route, I believe, by Stephon Diggs right there. He caught it one-handed and then jogs, slows down to a jog, run, 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 slows down. He takes up a little bit there, and I believe Predley walks into the end zone on that play. For a guy 7 months off an ACL, that is a stellar, stellar run to be making. And like I alluded to earlier, the first time he's seen the field as a Patriot. And possibly, we don't know yet, but possibly one of the reasons why May was off his game those first couple OTAs. I mean, we know Steph Diggs is, even though he's, gosh, I forget, I think, is he that old? Is he actually 33?
I think he's like 31. He was drafted in 2015.
He is only 31, so it'll be his 32-year-old season. But I mean that route he runs right there, it shows that Austin may well be right. He's got the potential to be a 1,000-yard receiver as a 32-year-old player with Drake May as his quarterback. I mean, we've got Josh McDaniels and we got Mike Vrabel. They're gonna run more of a run-heavy game than Belichick and Mayo did. So which might mean slightly less pass volume, but the potential is absolutely there if you watch throws like the one to Henderson, the one to Diggs right there. Maybe we might have even have a pass catching back in Henderson, so might allow us to open up the passing game a little bit with guys like Stephon Diggs running like that.
And before I make my comments, so just make sure, guys, as you come in, please make sure that you like this stream and you're subscribed to this channel. It's completely free, helps supports this channel. And as you come in, please make sure that you bring in your questions and comments so we can at least discuss throughout the entire live stream. But as you're looking at this clip, Andy, that was filmed on CLNS Media, you see Josh McDaniels working with Kyle Williams, who I think is gonna be like a stellar wide receiver for us. So look right here. So you see Josh McDaniels working with like the signals for the offensive signals, and then you can see the signals from Josh McDaniels, and then Kyle Williams makes a stance, and then makes that incredible route, and then makes that incredible catch. I'm gonna play this again, and give your thoughts on this video, Andy. But what were your thoughts on Josh McDaniels teaching Kyle Williams? Because we've seen that before at a rookie minicamp.
Yeah, Josh McDaniels, this is just showing his natural talent. Naturalness is not a word. It's showing his natural ability as offensive coordinator. I mean, he knows how to work with the rookie wide receivers. He knows how to work with young quarterbacks. I believe he's basically telling Kyle Williams what route to run here.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just see that again.
I think the quarterback is Joshua Dobbs, as you can see, and then and then make the incredible route. Switches to the left.
Turn, catch. Right into the end zone. He's got Drake May right there.
And I think
And you're right. I think it's Dobbs.
Yep, it's
Is he
Dobbs.
under center? And is he under center here? Or in the gun? He's in the gun.
Yeah. So makes the middle, twitches a little bit, and then catches.
And nice.
And obviously, as we alluded to with Kyle Williams, we obviously know that he didn't have like a good quarterback for Washington State, but now with Drake May and potentially Joshua Dobbs as the backup quarterback, you can see Kyle Williams producing a whole lot for the team. I'm just excited to see what Kyle Williams can do during the regular season, and obviously through mini camp and training camp. But the one player, and I know we're gonna harp on this again, Andy. We're talking about the undrafted free agent once again, and it's Efton Chisholm once again. This guy, he caught 50 catches, 50 targets. That is impressive. I don't know if I found that on through Evan Lazard or
I heard that too. I think it was Phil, was either Phil Perry or Mike Reese said that.
Let me look up Phil Perry.
And I heard I heard it on the clip I watched here. I was like, 50 catches, an undrafted rookie free agent, 50 catches, 50-5-0, not 1-5, 5-0. And he was 7 of 7 today, 100% catch rate.
Okay, I'm finding Phil Perry's like tweet, and he said that undrafted rookie wide receiver Efton Chisholm caught all 7 competitive targets sent his way today, including 1 crosser from Drake May. Chisholm appeared to get an attaboy and a pat on the helmet from Stephon Diggs on the sideline after one particularly productive period. That's what has been reported. And if I look up through Evan Lazar, if I'm not mistaken, I know he
Yeah, I did hear about the 50 catches. It was not Lazar.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's Evan Lazar. It says right here.
Huh.
Patriots rookie wide receiver Efton Chisholm caught approximately 50 passes.
Yeah, I'm slightly exaggerating. Yeah, it's not. So yeah, it wasn't exactly 50 catches. It's just he was so good that it feels like he caught that many. I just sounded so sorry, guys. I just sounded, about 50 catches. I mean, yes, it was, an exaggeration clearly, but I mean,
Yeah.
the kid's the real deal. Efton
He's
Chisholm
about
is
23 years old.
Real deal.
Another report I want to get to before we head to the tight ends, and it's within the wide receivers. We see a video of Stephon Diggs with Jalen Polk and a wide receivers coach Todd Downing with the drills. What are your thoughts on the chemistry with Diggs and Polk right here?
That shows that, you know how low on Jalen Polk I've been. A veteran like Diggs showing trust in him that's the kind of leadership he needs, and he didn't have it last year. Not only did he not have the coaching staff, he didn't have the leadership, to keep a good head on his shoulders, and so that's why he's out there saying, "Oh, I have the best hands in the league." Steph Diggs is going to show this guy the real ropes of the NFL, as is Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel already has. Stephon Diggs is doing it right here. Maybe even lecturing him a little bit, or was it? No, maybe I'm thinking of Javon Baker, who did not head back to the huddle.
Yeah, it was It was
after making like his only catch or making the only catch that day, he strode along the sideline instead of heading right back to the huddle. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, I do like this chemistry, or this, not really chemistry, but relationship that seems to be forming between Steph Diggs and Jalen Polk, 'cause a young guy in the NFL needs that mentorship no matter what his position is.
mm. And I just found a quote from Jonathan about Chisholm, going back to Chisholm, sorry, but he said, I'm like 110% positive that UDFA Efton Chisholm is going to make the 53-man roster. He's Josh McDaniels type of a wide receiver, and he has qualities of Edelman and Amendola, and broke Cooper Kupp's record. There's no reason for why he should not make the 53-man roster, unless something happens in training camp or mandatory minicamp. But
100%, no reason. 100%, there's no reason he shouldn't make the roster. And this is the whole Kendrick Bourne thing is going to be, time for another show, obviously. Yeah, I'm not gonna go broken record here and say the 6 wide receivers I think should make the roster, but Kayshon Boutte, Kyle Williams, and Efton Chisholm are 3 of them. And obviously, Stephon Diggs, 4.
I can see Efton Chisholm pushing Pop Douglas's spot, because we all know about
Interesting, him pushing out Pop Douglas, really? Really?
That's just what I'm coming. That's
'Cause
just
Pop's
like
a slot receiver,
Efton
and
Chisholm
it
is also a slot receiver.
exactly.
And the reason why I'm saying this is because Pop Douglas doesn't have like he doesn't have like the durability in the league. So because of all of the concussions, and even though he had 3 touchdowns, I just felt like, well, we want like healthy players at least. So
We don't know if actually, would you mind out looking up Chisholm's injury history at Eastern Washington?
and then we can okay, injury history. Efton Chisholm injury history. I'm gonna look up Fox Sports. What? That's not what I wanted. Oh my gosh, I can't even. Okay, injury history. Nope, it doesn't. It doesn't have any. He's all
Yeah,
clean.
that's what I thought, that his injury history was practically 0.
I don't
I
think.
mean, obviously this is the NFL, this is not college, but
And if you could compare it to Pop's injuries, he had an ankle injury week 10, concussion week 13, another concussion week 14, and then an ankle week 13 last year.
okay.
Chat, could you fact check this for me, as us two just looking up, just in case?
Fact check what?
The injuries for like both Chisholm and Douglas, just in case, because
Okay. I can definitely do Pop Douglas.
I know Chisholm, as Dustin alluded to yesterday, he did play for like a no, that was for Landlars. What am I talking about? But after Chisholm, who was part of like, he didn't have like he had like low competition.
So, Douglas has dealt with hand injury, concussion, and he had an ankle injury. I believe that was in Demario Douglas injury history. This was last summer. Entered training camp projected as the number 1 wide receiver, but while he was present for the first 2 practice sessions, his contributions were limited. And apparently, per Phil Perry, he was dealing with a hand injury. This was last summer during training camp, I believe. Yeah, it was July, so that would have been training camp. His chances of tell me what this means. His chances of injury overall in 2025 are 62.6%.
What?
I don't know how anybody would be measuring that. It's per this website called
Yeah,
draftsharks.com.
I'm using DraftSharks.com too. His durability is a 3.70,
Yep.
and he is 5.6% chance of injury per game. But I don't know I don't know how this works,
No, neither do I.
but let's quickly move forward. Oh, we got to head over to the tight ends and
We do.
about the tight end room. Jaheim Bell, unfortunately, as we try to hype him up, had a bad day.
He
He had
did not have a good day.
he had he caught one of four targets and he had multiple drops. Could this be an issue for Jaheim Bell?
Again, broken record here. We're saying all these guys have the veterans, quote, Jaheim Bell only being a second year guy. Second year guy? I believe, yes.
Yeah, he's the second year guy.
Jaheim Bell only being a second year guy is going to have a clean slate just like all the other relative veterans. It's OTAs, it's unpadded OTAs, it's June. Let's not Austin, if you're listening, we're not going to fret. It is not time to fret about your guy Jaheim Bell just yet, because all these guys, deserve a shot. So one bad OTA. The four of us, the five of us, all told, did not fret over Drake May after he threw 4 picks the way everybody else did in his first OTA. We are not fretting about 3 drops by Jaheim Bell in his third formal OTA.
Yeah, completely understandable. But if he does, and it's I think Ray said that he obviously we know he's undersized. He's not like your typical regular tight end who is generally like 6'5", 6'4". Normally, that's how an average tight end is usually heighted, and around the weight is like around 260, 270. But with as we alluded to yesterday, Jaheim Bell is 6'1". He's more of like an H back type, and Luke Neely made a really good point, and we know that he is undersized and he doesn't have the typical tight end size. But but yes, Ray, Ray also made a good point of why Pop is not that durable is because he is undersized at 5'8". It's more of like a gadget guy, but we always want a durable. We want some durability out of all players, but going back to the Jaheim Bell point, yeah, there we all agree. The Fab Four agreed that the tight end 3 is going to be the most competitive with the 4 remaining tight ends we have, since we already know that Hooper and Henry are locks, unless anything changes. But as far as we know, tight end 3 is the most competitive.
Yeah, man, tight end 3 will be really competitive. I mean, you could maybe one of the positions on the offensive line. Was it right guard or left guard we keep talking about with Cole Strange
Left
and
guard.
left guard?
And speaking of left guard, and I don't understand this.
Go ahead.
For the left guard, we see a heavy dose of Cole Strange and Wes Schweitzer.
Schweitzer, yeah. Could
So,
it be
what do you thought of that competition at left guard?
Strange and Schweitzer? That the fact that it looks like a competition in OTAs is not necessarily a good sign for Cole Strange. He could be one of those Belichick draftees that Vrabel, for whatever reason, is on the outs with. He's not in, he's not out. But the fact that you have Schweitzer there Let me just look
We
this
still
up
have
real.
Layden Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
And then we know City So had a down season. John made a really good point in the Discord that left guard is gonna be one of the bigger needs this upcoming offseason, unless there's another position we have to fill besides left guard.
And I'd honestly forgotten about this, Dow. Schweitzer will be going into his 10th. I ran the offensive lineman data. Schweitzer will be going into his 10th season in the NFL. Yeah. Cole Strange will be going into, give or take, his 4th. So the fact that, I mean, a veteran as old as Schweitzer, he's 31, giving him a run for his money isn't necessarily a surprise, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on, as is the tight end 3 between Jaheim Bell and CJ Dupre, and potentially Westover. I'm forgetting his first name now.
Jack Westover?
Correct.
Luke neatly makes a really good point about Cole Strange's injury. He said it's a hard one to come back from.
Remind me of what that was again.
Let me find all the injuries. So he had a season-ending knee injury in 2023. Specifically, a torn patellar tendon in his left knee.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what you were referencing, buddy, and that
was against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, that's going to be a rough one to come back from, and every guy bears watching, but could potentially make Strange a cut candidate on this now stacked offensive line 90-man roster, if you can call it that.
Yeah, he could potentially be cut, and the interesting part is, if the Patriots even dare to give him a 5th-year option or an extension, I will lose my mind, because Cole Strange was not my favorite player in the 2022 NFL draft.
No, he was 29th overall pick. Come on. Chattanooga. He was billed a 3rd-round pick at best.
I would have stayed with the Chiefs and got Trent McDuffie than
McDuffie. 100%. 100%. That was I'm not going to say it was the overdraft to beat all overdrafts. Bill Belichick seemed to have a ton of them his latter years.
We can all agree the 2022 NFL draft was the worst draft ever, and it was
then 2019. I don't know. 2019 was pretty bad, and we're going to leave it at that. We're not mentioning any names. We're just not.
But 2022 is just questionable, because
2022 was Cole Strange. It was Ty Thornton,
Bailey Zappi, the Jones brothers.
Yeah, we obviously still have Marcus.
Yeah, but is Marcus? We're going to be discussing this later in the court.
Jack didn't necessarily work out. Yeah,
we had Kevin Harris. We had Pierce Strong. And then
I had hopes for Kevin Harris,
but because of Belichick.
Exactly.
But we're not going to talk.
That man knows football more than. It just boggles my mind now how Bill Belichick probably knows more about football than everybody in this chat combined, and yet why did he draft the way he did? Why?
Is it because is he taking all of this from Bill Parcells, who was also a bad drafter during his time with the Giants?
I mean, possibly. I mean, Parcells was a major mentor for Belichick back in the day, and they didn't really get back to when Belichick was the Giants' defensive coordinator, not head coach, defensive coordinator. That's when they kicked the Bills' ass in the Super Bowl. So you could argue that we're going down a rat hole here, but you could argue Bill Belichick, even though he was head coach of your and my New England Patriots for 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
Worked better. Look at his history in Cleveland. You could argue the man worked better as a defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
That is a fair point to be made about Bill Belichick.
Yeah. But let's move on to some of the other notes in today's OTA. Continuing with the battle between Will Campbell and Keon White, and it was it's still happening compared to like the um last day of OTAs, and Keon White continues Monday along the edge, and White was disruptive with one quick would be sack. Although it's always important to note that the passing camp dynamic favors the pass rusher with no pads. So, what are your thoughts of this Keon White and Will Campbell matchup? Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was either Colby or someone else that said that I think it was Colby who said that Will Campbell during his time in college struggled against this type of players that Keon White is. And I think that what the Patriots are doing right now is having him match up against Keon White. So when he prepares for the NFL, he could see potential players like that.
Yeah, he did. I think I read in one of the draft reports on Will Campbell that he struggled particularly against speedy defensive ends, which was exactly what Keon White is. And I look forward, like I alluded to last night, to Vrabel and Terrell Williams correctly using Keon White on the defensive line along the edge. But yeah, that's gonna be and then look at Will Campbell saying, talking rough on Keon White there, basically, I'm not gonna let you lay a hand on my quarterback. This is the it's and Keon White obviously playing bully ball right back at Big Will. It's gonna be that is a dynamic. And you see the looks on their faces. Those guys don't hate each other at all. I mean, there's a dynamic not only on the same side of the ball but on opposite sides of the ball that I really liked with this team. Anyway, the back and forth with Keon and Will bears watching. It's definitely interesting.
Okay, I think that's it for the offense, and now let's head over to the defense. Obviously, there's nothing much with the defense, with the exception of Joshua Farmer making a name for himself. What do you think? And it was reported that rookie defensive tackle Joshua Farmer deflected another pass at the line of scrimmage. So, what's your thoughts on Joshua Farmer so far? Even though he missed one day of OTAs, at least so far, the last 2 days that OTAs were open for the media. What do you think of Joshua Farmer's production so far?
Yeah, Farmer is one of those guys who was a steal of the draft, right there along with Braden Swinson. We haven't had a guy since Dante Hightower, I believe, who could swarm the line of scrimmage like that. And that's what you need to disrupt these sturdy mobile quarterbacks, the Lamar Jacksons of the world, the Josh Allens of the world, the Pat Mahomeses of the world. You need a guy like Joshua Farmer who can be a bull on that line of scrimmage and put the quarterback right on edge. Give him that deer in the headlights look that Belichick defenses were able to give the likes of Peyton Manning and Ben Roethlisberger for so long.
Yeah, and another point to note that interception that was picked off from Bill Wildrish intended for CJ Dupree. It was safe. I thought it was safety. I thought it was Hawkins, but it was actually a play made by Hawkins, but it was caught by Josh Minkins, and we know Minkins. He's not gonna make the roster. It's just some random play, but if it was consistently, then he could potentially make the run for a 53-man roster. But if it's this one in a moment,
a freak play. We see freak plays in the NFL all the time, and then the next season, the guy who made them is in Never Neverland. You never hear his name again. Like, forgetting the guy's name now. You're like, every so often you're like, Brady just threw a pass to who? And it's, you know, so many of those guys were, you know, in the league, out of the league. They're playing the CFL, they're playing the UFL, they're not taking a football field anywhere. So freak plays, yeah, that's what's his name again? Josh
Josh
Minkins?
Minkins.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not good
It's just
play,
some random
but
body.
a freak play. He's
Yeah.
not gonna be a candidate to make the 53 man.
And finally, we have the kicker competition. So today, once again, Andres Borgales, he was perfect 4 of 4 on Monday, working between roughly 33 to 50 yards. That's impressive. And then John Parker Romo, he was only 2 of 4, pushing both misses wide right, including one from range. Is this a competition or not?
I said last night that Drake May was my only surefire positional lock to make the roster. If I had to pick a second, it would be Andres Borregales. He's shown it all training camp, all OTAs. Drake May, oddly enough, has not shown he was the better quarterback all OTAs, but Borregales has shown all OTAs that he is the better kicker.
Mm-hmm.
So John Parker
Romo.
John Parker Romo, thank you, will be your kicker 2. I believe we signed a UDFA kicker as well, but Parker Romo will be your number 2, your backup when all is said and done.
Yeah. Even though day 2, we thought that John Parker Romo, he was perfect, and then Borgales, he only missed like one kick, but that's just like a fluke day because day 3 is similar to like what happened in day 1, where Borgales was perfect and then Parker Romo missed 2 within that field goal range. So that it's hard to say about the kicker competition, but if you were looking at the entire stats of how many kicks that these kickers made, Borgales, he made 11 out of 12 when the media was open for OTAs, and then when you had Parker Romo, he was only 8 for 12. So there's a huge gap for the competition.
Just out of curiosity, Dow, where did you find those stats?
So I went on the Insta.
Okay.
So I went on to Instagram and I looked up some Patriots content creators, like there's Gillette Nation, there's I forgot that, I think it was Patriots Patriots 1, if I'm not mistaken, and I think that's where I got these stats, but nonetheless, it's either from some random, if it's from Mike Reese, or if it's from like, I think I remember in the Discord. I think I got the some of this from Tom, if I'm not mistaken, because I know
that sounds about right. Yeah, from Tom
because
or maybe Carlos, because Carlos
yeah.
put a big blurb up on
Oh yeah,
NFL,
it's either
NFL.com
Carlos and
earlier.
Tom.
Yeah, totally.
Sometimes Mike Reese, but
yeah, I read a whole thing by Carlos earlier. I wish I could have cut and pasted the whole thing onto Discord. Alas, I could not. It was really good, So I did put a clip from offense rather up earlier. If you want to take a peek at that, I could do it again if you'd like.
I'm just trying to find any leftovers that I have that I forgot to mention that we could discuss. But we obviously forgot to mention with the offensive line, as usual, Morgan Moses once again stayed after practice to help and give advice to some of the young offensive linemen.
Yes, that's again. I talked about Stephon Diggs, Jalen Polk. You see it with Morgan Moses, Will Campbell. I want to start seeing it with Morgan Moses and Bryant again. Why am I forgetting first names today? I just
Marcus
don't do
Bryant.
that. Marcus Bryant, thank you. I just don't forget names. What is with me today? Marcus Bryant. I want to see it with Jared Wilson. We're seeing it with Will Campbell. And no matter what position that guy plays on the offensive line, we've got to see the mentorship. It is key.
Actually, there's some notes that I forgot to mention that we can mention this now. It was reported that Dial and Austin, they spent time in the slot. Could this mean that they could push Marcus Jones out of the 53-man roster because he's like
That was the suspicion I read. Are Alex Austin, Marcellus Dial going to have Marcus Jones on the outside looking in? Interesting. That another positional battle to watch when we start talking defense.
Yep. The thing with Dial, he didn't look good last year when he played in the defense, but when it came to the special teams, he looked a lot better.
Special teams, interesting. I'll have to look up some clips on that. That'd be cool to watch.
Another, if I can find anything else. Oh, some of the some of the sacks were obviously Keon White had Keon White had a great day with the sacks, and it was also reported that Demontre Jacobs had a bad sack. This is what I still don't understand. Why is this guy still here?
Why is Demontre Jacobs still here exactly? I mean, if you're going to throw the bums out, Vrabel, you could argue that Jacob should have been the first to go even before Joe Milton. Joe Milton is at least not a bum. I'm not a huge fan of the guys, but I got to say that. Demontre Jacobs might as well be a rock on that offensive line. He couldn't protect Drake May to save his life last year.
Exactly.
What are you doing? He's a waste of roster space.
Yeah, exactly.
Get rid of him. It's not hard.
Mm-hmm. I was also
what is it? What was Demontre Jacobs' deal, Dell? Look that up. That might be.
It was I think he was on the RFA 1-year deal for. Oh my gosh, I need to look this up because I'm not gonna like this. It's a 1-year deal for $960,000.
Oh, kick him to the curb. God.
Yeah, you're not gonna get any dead cap from him.
You're gonna get bupkis out of him.
It was also reported that Michael Onwenu says he feels good getting back to the offense he's familiar with, but he also has to. It's also pointed out that he is rehabbing from a hand injury.
Interesting. Yeah, that's not a good injury to have when you're an old lineman.
Yeah. And then we mentioned about the Ramondre Stevenson with that catch. I'm just finding anything else before
Stevenson, we did Henderson, we did Chisholm, we did Diggs, we did May.
About the pass breakups, Christian Gonzalez, Jalen Hawkins, and Monty Rice all had a pass breakup. I know Monty Rice, he's not going to make the roster. He's just like a body at the
what's his for
Monty Rice?
No, he's not. No, he's not going to get on.
No. Oh, it was also reported that Christian Gonzalez gave up a catch to wide receiver Efton
Chisholm. Yeah, I
Chisholm
read that.
got open after running an impressive
Chisholm got the better of Gonzo today. If that doesn't scream this guy goes on the roster, I don't know what does.
Yeah, even though Christian Gonzalez may be impressive against top wide receivers, so this is like iron sharpening iron, you know.
He can't exactly. If he can't finish off a UDFA, then we're not Gonzo bashers here, but that's not a testament as to is Gonzo being poor. It's Chisholm being Edelman-esque.
Also, I thought it was also reported that he actually worked with the starters.
He did. That's absolutely true. I forget how many. I don't know how many reps he got with the starters, but I think it was the bulk of them.
Mm-hmm. It was also, I think, the final thing, and then we can conclude the stream is Mike Reese reported that the leftover from Monday's practice was end zone view of kickoff return work with Travion Henderson, and then others working on kickoff returns were Antonio Gibson, Len Larison, Bob Douglas, Javon Baker, Isaiah Bolden, Ethan Chisholm, Kyle Williams, and Terrell Jennings.
Motley crew.
So, out of all these players, who do you think could be like your kick and punt returner?
Let's see, Larison.
I can list it off again. It's Henderson.
Larison, I think I'd like to see as a punt returner.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that speed.
Unfortunately, no to Pop Douglas because of injuries. No to Marcus Jones. No, I would love to see Marcus Jones in a little bit, but not too much.
Wait, which Jones was it who made that kickoff return for a touchdown against the Jets? Was it Marcus or was it Jack?
It was Marcus.
I thought that's what I thought.
And then there's Chisholm. Kyle Williams could possibly do that.
Kyle Williams is a possibility for kick returner.
And surprisingly, Isaiah Bolden, even though we know what happened to Isaiah Bolden in 2023.
We do. Yeah, Isaiah Bolden would be interesting as a kick returner.
Yeah, he could be impressive for he could be like a body, but he's not like a confirmed lock. He could be working with the special teams, but that's gonna be it.
Yeah, he could be definitely a special teamer, but yeah, I mean, I'd go Larison and I'd go arguably Kyle Williams as a kick returner.
And that's gonna be it for the OTA takeaways. And thank you guys for joining me in this session. Thank you, Andy, for subbing in for today, because originally I planned to have Colby being my co-host, but thank you for subbing in not subbing in today, because you were like my plan. You're like my plan B.
No worries, Dow. You got it, man.
And
always fun co-hosting with you.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, guys, you will see Andy again, and the rest of the. I came up with the name Patriots Panel, and it consists of me, Andy, Dustin, and Austin. So we can't wait to see you for the defensive lineman live stream. However, tomorrow I'm going to be doing a live stream with Thomas on Craig Woodson and how much of an impact has he made throughout the OTAs. And hopefully you get to see us during that time.
Craig Woodson was a guy not a lot of us are high on, so make sure. What time is that? What time should
I set this? I set this for 2 p.m. at the earliest.
Cool. Yep, I will be around to pop in.
And it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be like a short one because I'm.
Okay, cool. Yeah, but no, you and so yeah, well, that'll be good, man. I'll be there. And thank you to Luke and Jonathan and Ray for listening, to whoever,
and Ash.
And Ash tuned in. Good for him. Yeah, Ash is getting active again.
And Gerard. But I want to see everybody participating rather than just Jonathan and Luke.
I know. That would be so awesome.
Like we saw a lot of production. Like we saw a lot of production with like the 53-man roster. We saw a lot of people in the chat. So if we can do this, like, if we could do more of that, especially since we're going to be discussing defense, I hope everybody shows up, because defense is going to be big for us.
Oh yeah. As excited as we are about the offense, more excited about the defense. Oh boy. So if you guys, like I said last night, if you guys are excited, make sure you tune in when your Fab Pats 4 start talking D-line next weekend, because it is going to be ballin'.
And if you want to see the Fab 4, please make sure to like and subscribe, and it's completely free to help support the channel, and turn on the bell for notifications so you don't miss out. And as always, go Pats.
Pats.
Peace.